Right now, 4 astronauts have witnessed something no human was ever meant to see. Not because NASA planned it. Not because it was on the mission checklist. But because at exactly the right moment their spacecraft disappeared behind the moon and the sun vanished for nearly an entire hour. One of the astronauts didn't reach for $1 billion NASA camera. He pulled out his iPhone. Because he knew the moment would never happen again. What he captured became one of the most extraordinary videos in modern spaceflight. But here's what almost no one is talking about. Just days earlier, these same astronauts were sitting inside a spacecraft that many experts believed still had one dangerous unanswered problem. A problem that could have turned their return to Earth into disaster. Stay with me because this mission wasn't just about breaking records. It was about proving humanity could finally return to deep space after more than half a century. For the first time since 1972, humans left the safety of low Earth orbit. Every mission since Apollo had stayed close enough to Earth that rescue was at least possible. Not this one. Once Orion passed behind the moon, there would be no rescue mission. No emergency supplies. No second chances. If something failed, they were completely on their own. That is why Artemis II mattered so much. This wasn't a moon landing. It was something even more important. A test to prove the spacecraft could safely carry humans farther from Earth than anyone had traveled in over 50 years. On April 1, 2026, 4 astronauts climbed aboard NASA's Orion spacecraft and launched on top of the most powerful operational rocket on Earth. Commander Reed Weissman, pilot Victor Glover, mission specialist Christina Koch, and Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen, the first non-American ever assigned to a lunar mission. Their destination wasn't the lunar surface. Instead, they would fly a 10-day journey around the moon before returning home. Every system would be tested. Because before anyone walks on the moon again, NASA first had to prove the spacecraft could bring its crew back alive. 5 days later, Orion reached the far side of the moon. A place almost no human has ever seen with their own eyes. People often call it the dark side of the moon. But that's actually wrong. The far side receives just as much sunlight as the side facing Earth. The only thing it never sees is us. Because the moon always keeps the same face pointed toward Earth. As Orion slipped behind the moon, something incredible happened. The moon moved directly between the spacecraft and the sun. Instantly the sunlight disappeared. The crew entered total darkness. Then came something impossible to experience anywhere on Earth. A total solar eclipse that lasted 53 minutes. Think about that. The longest total eclipse anyone can ever witness from Earth's surface is just over 7 minutes. These astronauts watched one that lasted almost an entire hour. Nearly 7 times longer than nature ever allows on Earth. Instead of simply watching the view, the crew immediately turned the moment into science. With the sun blocked by the moon, they could observe the faint solar corona for far longer than astronomers normally can. Then something wonderfully human happened. Commander Reed Weissman couldn't resist. Instead of reaching for specialized equipment, he grabbed his personal iPhone and started recording. Outside the window, Earth slowly disappeared behind the moon's horizon. An Earth set. The opposite of the famous Earthrise photograph captured during Apollo. At the same time, Christina Koch was photographing the scene with professional cameras while Weissman quietly filmed it on the same kind of phone sitting in millions of pockets around the world. That contrast says everything about exploration. The greatest moments aren't always planned. Sometimes they're simply too beautiful not to record. But while millions admired those breathtaking images, almost nobody realized how close this mission had come to looking very different. Because before Artemis II ever launched, NASA had one terrifying problem it still needed to solve. And if they got it wrong, those 4 astronauts might never have made it home. Long before those incredible images were shared with the world, NASA engineers were losing sleep over a problem hidden beneath the spacecraft. The danger wasn't the rocket. It wasn't the engines. It wasn't even the journey to the moon. It was the heat shield. The only thing protecting the crew during the most violent part of the mission. Re-entry. When Orion slammed back into Earth's atmosphere, it would be traveling nearly 25,000 miles per hour. The air in front of the capsule would heat to almost 5,000 degrees. Without a flawless heat shield, survival would be impossible. The concern came from Artemis I, the uncrewed mission that flew around the moon in 2022. After splashdown, engineers discovered something they never expected. Parts of the heat shield had cracked. Some pieces had broken away completely. No one had predicted it. For nearly 2 years, NASA investigated what had gone wrong. Eventually, engineers traced the problem to trapped gases inside the protective material. As the spacecraft skipped through the atmosphere, pressure built up inside the shield until small pieces burst away. NASA had a difficult decision: delay the program for years and redesign the shield, or trust a new ray entry path designed to prevent the problem from happening again. Not everyone agreed with the decision. Some experts believed the real cause still wasn't fully understood. They warned the fix might work once but fail under different conditions. It was one of the biggest engineering debates of the Artemis program. In the end, NASA made its choice. They launched. That meant 4 astronauts trusted not only the spacecraft but thousands of engineers who believed their solution would work. Then came the longest minutes of the mission. As Orion raced toward Earth, blazing plasma surrounded the capsule. Temperatures climbed. Communication stopped. For 6 long minutes, nobody on Earth could hear the crew. Mission Control could do nothing except wait. Every successful ray entry has this blackout. But this time the stakes fell even higher, because everyone knew what was riding on that heat shield. Then finally the silence ended. Radio contact returned. Moments later, parachutes opened exactly as planned. Orion splashed safely into the Pacific Ocean. The heat shield had done its job. When engineers inspected the spacecraft, they found exactly what they hoped to see. Some expected wear, but nothing close to the damage seen during Artemis I. The new flight path had worked. Those 4 astronauts had just completed humanity's first journey beyond low Earth orbit in more than half a century. They had traveled farther from Earth than any humans in history, experienced a 53-minute total solar eclipse, captured an unforgettable Earthset on a simple iPhone, and safely returned home. But this mission was never really about records. It was about proving the path back to the moon is finally open again. Every future lunar landing depends on what happened during these 10 days. Every astronaut who walks across the lunar surface in the coming years will do so because Artemis II proved the journey could be done safely. History usually remembers the spectacular moments. The first step. The first landing. The famous photograph. But those moments only exist because thousands of people solved impossible problems long before anyone was watching. Without years of testing, there is no eclipse. Without the engineers, there is no Earthset. Without the heat shield, there is no homecoming. Sometimes the greatest achievement isn't reaching another world. It's making sure everyone comes back alive. And that's exactly what Artemis II accomplished. Humanity has officially taken its first step back toward the moon. The next one could place astronauts on its surface for the first time in more than 50 years. And when that moment finally arrives, the story will have started right here. With 4 astronauts, 1 unexpected eclipse, 1 iPhone video, and a mission that changed the future of space exploration forever. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe because the next chapter of humanity's return to the moon is only just beginning.